Yep.
these out
What?
first and see how that sounds, or you're good now?
Or we're kind of live, so if you want to do that, you can do that.
Wow.
You know, this is like you always do this though. Every time. Like the last one we did with Patrick, you kind of like while we were going live after I asked, "Is everybody good?" You were like, "Yeah, we're good," and then, "Oh no, don't start yet." Anyways, welcome to Earth Two Comic Cast, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. I'm back today with another podcast for you, another Marvel Netflix podcast for you. This one is definitely on the Punisher season 2. I have this time with me. I have Anthony. You know him, the drunk geek. He's always here. Whether it's Discovery or every other French podcast that we do, and I have a first timer, Kyle. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Kyle introduce himself and let you guys know what he does, and then we can, because you already know Anthony, so he doesn't need to introduce himself. So go ahead, Kyle.
Need no introduction.
My name's Kyle. I'm your run-of-the-mill case manager, author, elected official, whatever else you need me to be. I'm a man of many faces, and nobody still.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So welcome, Kyle. Welcome to your first Earth 2 Comic Cast podcast. This is amazing. We're about to have some fun with this. So, okay, this podcast is a little different. I have to first of all let you guys know that I did not watch season 2 of The Punisher. It was very difficult for me to get into. I believe I already complained about that on another podcast, say like season 1, or when Lucas and Mo did another podcast. But I will say this. Season 2 Punisher's reception is, to me, in my opinion, Marvel Netflix. It's consistent with Marvel Netflix sophomore run. Jessica Jones season 2 had a fall. Daredevil season 2 fell. Luke Cage season 2 fell. Of course, there's no Defender season 2. The only one that kind of didn't fall was Iron Fist, and I believe that's just like only because it was like the reception was already bad coming in.
You can't go no further.
You can't go no exactly.
You can't fall no further.
But what's weird
So-
is I felt like Luke Cage season 2 was better than the second half of the first season of Luke Cage season 1.
You know what? You're right. You're right on that. But as a whole, it's in my opinion, it still suffered what Luke Cage and what every other Marvel Netflix suffers, because so my problem with Marvel Netflix is it's too long.
Yeah.
13 episodes is a lot, and you're asking people I mean, there are definitely people, you have your core fans that don't care. You give me more. But you have people you're trying to keep invested in this series and invested in the stories that you have, and those are the people you should care about. You know, your fans are always gonna, if it came back to, if all the shows came back today and gave you 6 episodes, every fan would still watch 6 episodes. You're asking the people who you want to sit down on a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night to watch 13 episodes straight, and sometimes it gets tedious. So.
Well, the thing is, they never have a story for 13 episodes, right? Except for Daredevil season 1, which you could argue had 2 stories in it, because you were following Wilson Fisk and you were following Matt Murdock. They were pretty much 2 protagonists of that series, while also being antagonists of each other. So that had enough story for you to go 13 episodes, right? Luke Cage ran a gas somewhere, and then they ended that terrible Diamondback character.
That was the worst.
Yeah, that was really bad. Let's not even get into Iron Fist. That doesn't even need to be talked about. And Jessica Jones, which I love the first season of Jessica Jones. Like first season of
everyone
Jessica Jones,
loves the first season of Jessica Jones, I feel.
And we talked about it on here. But again, that second season just didn't have enough story to keep going with, and it just didn't go places anybody cared about. So
right.
And I get they got contracted for this many episodes and they want their money, but just definitely didn't have enough. The Defender should have been like one of those old TV movies where you got like the hour and a half,
Part 1.
This night, part 1, part 2, part 3, and that'd been it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Sherlock, the UK Sherlock does.
Yes.
It comes out with 3 episode seasons, and they long episodes, but it's 3 and done.
Right. So, but here we are with Punisher season 2. I mean, season 1, a lot of people loved. I have my gripes with it for a couple of reasons. I'm not going to go into it, I'm going to let the fellas talk about it, because these are the guys that actually watched season 2. I will ask questions that I'm pretty sure anyone that hasn't watched or wants to watch will ask and be like, yo, so what should make me want to see this. But again, the questions are going to come later. I'm going to ask the fellas to talk about how they feel about each episode of all the seasons. And so, starting with episode 1, we get a recap, which I am loving Netflix for doing now. It's, this whole thing they do with recaps is like, okay, so previously, or as we saw, because again, it came out a year ago, year and a half ago, and if you're not a huge fan, you're gonna forget. So that recap is very helpful. Oh no, we saw everything that happened, and we saw the end. We saw Russo get his face smashed. We saw the FBI or whatever agency came in and told him, hey, you're good to go. You did what you were supposed to do. You stopped who you're supposed to stop. You're free. We kind of give you. They gave him literally a clean slate. Like, you have a clean slate to do whatever you want. So you're out. Peace. And so it picks up. We get in Punisher fashion. So I did see episode 1. So in Punisher fashion, we get him driving his van. His face is bloodied. And for me, that's it. I don't know anything else. So any of you guys want to talk about what happens in episode 1 and why, and just how the story flows? So you guys can go back and forth and go episode 1, 2, 3 to 13, and
Okay.
you have the floor to do that.
All right. I felt like episode one was good. Like, honest to God, like episode one it felt like something out of a Punisher comic. Anthony and I talked yesterday. I think it was. It was yesterday or Friday. I forget which day. But we kind of talked about it, and we talked about was it War Journal? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and episode one had that feel to it. Like it was like that colliding story and just like
Tell them
random.
what War Journal is, because they don't know.
War Journal's Punisher's ongoing comic, so it's the 616 story of the Punisher, the Marvel universe. And if you're a Punisher fan, you would like War Journal. War Journal's like one of my favorite Punisher stories. Like, it's an ongoing, cool series. But it felt like it felt like you was watching a comic, like episode one. It just was like randomly Frank gets thrown into a situation, and Frank turns into Punisher, like without a moment's notice, anything. And it even had like splash page type feels, like with the fight in the bathroom and everything. Um, but just being 100 with you, I also feel like episode one is where the whole season goes down the toilet real fast at
Wow.
the same time. Just because it's like a real good episode, but with everything that happened like later on, it's just like, I wish you guys would have done more writing here. But like, I mean, I have the ability of hindsight right now. So with some of the storylines that they just completely dropped in that first episode, I really like, as much as I love that first episode, it's like with hindsight, like, oh, you guys should not have set all this up.
Okay,
So
Anthony.
I think that the first episode, what you saw with him being bloody driving the van and not knowing what's going on, except for somebody, must have picked the wrong van to hold up or something. But you got that classic, just Punisher bloody on there. You told us some
Mm-hmm.
shit just happened. I think that was for people that were dealing with how you were talking about, Mo, where you don't have. I think we lost Mo, but where you don't have episode 1 of season 1 was, we didn't get any action or violence until like near the end. Like, you started off with him assassinating a couple of last people from the Daredevil series, but all together, uh it got real slow that first episode. This episode wanted to jump you into it, like, look, just be patient, some stuff coming, it's coming. Like, you want to know how he got bloody right here. That's not all his blood. So I figured that was really good. um and again, a lot of things were set up this first episode that made me think that this was going to be a really good season. Like,
Exactly.
I was ready for this story. And again, guys, so in the '90s, you had Frank Castle in all different areas. Not like he just wasn't in New York, right? He was, he might be in the Midwest somewhere. He might be in Siberia, in the desert and these tundras, wherever. And you just got some gory, cool Punisher, balls to the wall kind of action, and seeing how smart he was. And he just wasn't about trigger happy, but he was, you pick the dad, you kick the bad data stuff. And that's what you got from the series, where the Punisher is one of those characters that you could actually do one of those old timey. serial things where he just shows up. There's an issue in this town. You're going to be here for 2 episodes, and this is what's going on. You can almost put every action genre, all the way going back to Charles Bronson up till now, in a Punisher story. And that's what you thought you were getting because they gave you some intriguing characters, some intriguing stuff going on, and the best bar fight I've seen in a
And
long
they actually did
time.
something real cool. Also, I didn't mean to cut you off, but they did something
No,
real
no, no.
cool with this episode that I really liked with, which was with the music. I thought that was really cool how they integrated the music with what was going on with the storytelling of the episode. And I really thought like, oh, this is a route that they're going this season in the Punisher. And not to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet,
No,
but
no, go
they
spoilers.
dropped that
You're
off.
not watching this if you haven't seen
Oh,
it.
at this point, if you haven't seen it, it's on you. That's what we do on Earth too. There's a reason it's done this late. So if you haven't seen it, it's on you. Like, yeah, sorry.
We're here to discuss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the whole music integration thing was just like flushed down the toilet after this episode was over. And I thought that was like horrible because it was kind of cool how they did it with this first episode. And then like, yeah, no, we're not doing none of that.
Wow. Okay, so now the name. So I just looked it up right real quick. The name of the episode is Roundhouse Blues, and sorry, Roadhouse Blues. So
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
yes,
Right,
yes, yes.
Roadhouse.
So and it's funny because I do quite remember like almost a bar fight scene with Frank, but it wasn't him. It was somebody else, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it's gonna be so. So when I put that two and two, I was like, okay, so excuse me, him in the van is gonna be driving from city to city trying to start a new life, and then oh my god, I gotta punish somebody, I gotta be the Punisher. So that's what I was getting. Those are the vibes I was getting. But
No,
then
it was a little different than that. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying, yeah, that's the vibe I was getting. But then it went from that, and then I think I saw him and the girl, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting anything they're doing. And so if right from what I saw and what I kind of caught, I'm thinking that's the route they should have gone, but they ended up going somewhere else. So we're done with episode one, and then we get to episode two. Of
Wait,
course
wait.
I
Can I
didn't
say some
see
things about
that.
episode
So
one? Can I say something about
go
episode
ahead.
one? So episode one gave you a really good thing of, yeah, he's just trying to live his life, but he still has this rage inside him that wants to, the girl pointed out, like, you wanted the excuse. But he finds a girl, finds a kid, can have his family thing again. But he like you said, I'm just some asshole that can't mind my own business. Stay out of trouble with something like that. But that bathroom fight was so brutal. But every black man in that country bar got punched or killed. They went out their way. And there was this really big bouncer guy that I was kind of feeling. I was like, yeah, we're going to see him a couple more. No, he did
Yeah.
good work, but that was
Wow.
They
it.
took forever killing him too. I was just like, just let him die. Like,
Yeah.
die.
Oh, they stabbed him. If y'all watch anime, he was the white beard of this bar. There wasn't a mark on his back, but he took a stab, he took some gunshots. Somebody tried to strangle
Wow.
him. Like, yeah, it was some good stuff. So the
All right.
bathroom
And
fight
so
was good, and it was. And you found out the Punisher's an equal opportunity Punisher. If
Yeah.
you come at him with a knife or a gun, and you a woman, you will get it.
You
no,
get
so
hands,
his hands
you getting
so
rock
his hands
bottoms
already
on the
eat.
bathroom floor.
So his hands already eat for everyone, is what you're telling me.
For everyone.
All right. So let's go with episode two. Quickly, the title of episode two is Fight or Flight. Now that sounds interesting. Honestly, if I'm watching it, if I see Fight or Flight, I'm like, okay, we're getting another city, or we're gonna spend the next day in Michigan or whatever town he was. So what do we get in episode two? What do you like? What don't you like?
So episode one was kind of like a homage to Roadhouse, right?
Yeah.
And this one is, I want to say it was an homage to Precinct 13.
Yeah,
Or-
you had that feeling.
Yeah. So the Punisher has met this girl in episode one. She won't really tell him why these people are after the killer. She keeps trying to escape, so he like ties her up. But these people, they want to know what happened. They want to know how their top people were killed in this bar. And they go to the motel they're staying at to ask these guys some questions, violently, and it does not work out well for them. It doesn't work out well for any of them. Um, and the police come, and he's not going to kill cops, good cops anyway, honest cops, or if you want to take, you might catch a little smoke, but honest cops, you're all right. So they lock him up, and the person's like, you need to let me go because they're going to come here and kill everybody. And we get introduced to this. Well, not was introduced, but we get a more of this Mennonite character, this old timey looking preacher kind of guy with this like Quaker hat, who has so much pull of all these looks like militia guys, and they pretty much shut down the area because they want these prisoners, and it's pretty much Precinct 13. All these armed people coming after the Punisher and the girl, and the cops having to trust him, or could be him having to prove to the cops that it's better to have him on his side than not. They even offer. They also reference a old Clint Eastwood movie. And I meant to look it up where he comes back and he's the ghost or the devil or whatever, but he like saves the town from this bandits, but he's also almost as bad as the bandits for some way because the person he was alive, they mistreated or didn't help him when he was getting killed. So that was pretty much the premise.
Kyle,
He nailed
you have
every
anything
point.
you want to add?
He nailed every point. Like, mind you,
All right.
the season is going great up until this point. I have to admit, that up to this point, the season is going great.
All right, so that's pretty much episode 2 is like all of this,
but I
right?
want to say this again. We have some really good Punisher going on, right?
Yeah.
We have Punisher in the woods. We got him versus the malicious guy. They still have the bad guy, like, they just turn off the lights. Doesn't care. He's picking on a police station. We're like, all right. This story is like, what's going on? Who are these guys? Oh, this badass chick's coming. We got a couple of phone calls about what's going on with the FBI agent or CIA agent from the first season,
Madani
and Billy. Yeah. But like, I'm still in it. At this point, I am still with this show. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a good season. I'm getting the Punisher doing what the Punisher does, right? And the Mennonite guy is actually a threat because if he wasn't interrupted, he'd have killed Frank.
Yep.
So, according to you guys, episode 1 and episode 2 kind of keep you in it, kind of, or to a point in episode 2, the story kind of keeps you in it, the action, of course, because again, I feel like what everyone loves about Punisher is the action, and so all of that is keeping you in it. And then you get to episode 3, and that episode is titled, I saw that face, Trouble the Water.
They troubled a lot of water.
So you want to take this one, Kyle?
They went back to New York.
What? For what?
Who the fuck knows? I am convinced that they knew they were getting canceled, and they're like, but we got 2 seasons worth of scripts. And they were like, all right, well, you got 1 season left, because we ain't messing with Marvel no more. They starting their own channel, we ain't playing. And they're like, all right. Me and Kyle talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
At length. We think that they combined 2 seasons of storylines that could have been both great independently.
Yeah.
Into 1 season and watered down both of them that way.
But what's weird is, I really don't even think they realized they had 13 episodes. like when I went back and did a second watch of the season, it made me think, like, did they realize how many episodes they had? Because it doesn't make sense. Like, the way how they wrote this season and then combined the 2 stories, there's no reason why the Midwest story with Ohio and Detroit and everything, there's no reason why this couldn't have been season 2A, and then they went back to New York in season 2 in the second half of the season, like episode 7, episode 8, because when they went back to New York, it felt forced. So Trouble the Water is where the show completely goes downhill for me.
So you're saying, episode 1 and episode 2 happen in the Midwest, Ohio, Michigan, and then episode 3 is just very jarring, and they just take you back to New York.
They start a whole story where you're really like, all right, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, the story, they even make fun of it in the series where the other characters are like, it's got nothing to do with what's going on. No, it does not.
And they do it throughout. I know in the chat room when we was talking before we cast, I said they started doing it on episode 11, 12, and 13. No, they started doing it earlier than that when I went back and did the second watch for this. They started making jokes about it's a whole nother thing earlier than that. They're making jokes about the bad writing in the show with the writing.
Wow. So I'm guessing they knew they were getting canceled, so they're like, fuck it. That's the only explanation as to why they're just saying, chucking whatever they want to throw at the wall to stick.
Well,
What?
again, like that happened to Rome, right? Remember the HBO show Rome? They found
Oh
out they were
my
getting
god, I love that
canceled.
show.
I
It
love
only
that
went
show too.
2 seasons. It only
Only
went
two
two
seasons.
seasons, and I don't know
So
why.
when they found out, they said it was more expensive than Game of Thrones, but I don't understand how that
Yeah,
happened. But
it actually because I mean that was what in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, it probably
maybe
was
early
expensive
2000s.
because it
But
was big.
but um but they combined the 4 seasons of story they had into that whole
Hmm.
second season. That's why they're jumping around so much,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, oh, so I think they knew they were getting canceled. I think they knew they were going away, and we've got one last shot to show this character, and he's a great Punisher. And they just tried to combine it, but me and Kyle, like yesterday, we went through the whole story. It was like, this is how you could have just fixed it if you want to tell both these stories. But we'll
All
tell you what
right.
we thought at the end. We'll tell you how we would have fixed it at the end.
Okay, so you know what? You know what? Since we've already gotten to the point in this cast where you guys have said the story, instead of going episodic and saying, "Oh, this is what happens," or "This is how this happens," let's just go ahead and talk about Punisher and just forget the episodic filler and just talk because again, it's funny how as soon as I said trouble the water, you're like, "Oh, this is yeah," and both of you just kind of went off. So let's talk about it then. Let's just have a conversation. What happened? Where did it go wrong? Why did you think it went wrong? How do you think this could be fixed? If this show does come back, if this is one of the shows that Netflix feels, I don't care about canceling, we want you back. How do you think they can fix one their reputation and the respect of the show, or how could this season have been fixed instead of going down the path they went down?
Okay. First and foremost, I want to say John Bernthal is a phenomenal actor. He nails the Punisher. Like I get comic book Punisher when I see John Bernthal on screen and some. Like I get high
It's funny
adrenaline,
though
high
because I still like
testosterone,
Thomas
everything.
Jane. I still like
I like
Thomas
Thomas
Jane.
Jane too. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
without a
Yeah.
I
doubt.
was a big proponent of Thomas Jane, but this man brings something to the table. He
Yeah,
brings something to
Hmm.
the table that
Hmm.
Thomas Jane just didn't bring.
yeah.
They're different. They were just different.
Yeah, they're
And
both different Punishers. Yeah.
I don't want to knock the writing staff because here's the thing. I do feel like the writing, like mind you, I am not a fan of how this season was written, right? But at the
Hmm.
same time, I see that the writing staff took time to research the Mennonite character, right? So they did a decent job, a really good, decent job at researching the Mennonite character. At the same time, I feel like they did a decent job, and I really want to say decent. I'm not going to say good, but they did a decent job with Jigsaw. And I feel like they was going somewhere compelling with the Jigsaw character, because Jigsaw doesn't have his memory. So
You
I
want to tell them
thought,
what the Jigsaw story? The thing we like. You want to tell them what his storyline was?
Oh, real quick, before you guys get into that, I want to ask about Jigsaw. So we have two Punisher movies, right? Three, technically, one that doesn't need to be talked about, but Thomas Jane Punisher and what's the other guy? The guy from Rome. He
Rome,
was
Titus
also the
Pillow.
Punisher. Yes, he was Punisher. And
Titus
in his
Pillow.
Punisher, we got Jigsaw. And that Jigsaw, actually, in my opinion, is comic book Jigsaw with the face and the gashes and everything. Did you guys? I mean, I like Ben as an actor, but I think Ben Barnes is too pretty. Like he's a pretty boy, and he's a selling point for women. So I think you can't go as like ugly as you want to make Jigsaw. So am I the only one that has a problem with the fact that Ben Barnes or you didn't you couldn't really go Jigsaw with him as because Jigsaw is unrecognizable at a lot of times. This guy you can still tell
yeah.
this is whatever Russo or whatever his name is. So did you guys have a problem with that or that's just whatever? That's me thinking too deep into it.
So I put take this: if you could get past Purple Man not being Purple Man and Jessica Jones, you could get past this. So, like, I just gave in. Like, all right,
It's
whatever.
true. It's true. Um, so I'll say this: it is jarring to me that I thought the way they built up his face being messed up, it was going to be. It was. I don't know why they was like, yo, you too pretty. We can't make you ugly, bro. We can't make you ugly. We're just gonna give you a couple scars here. And I was like, they don't make you ugly. That's just sexy. Women are like, oh, now you got a little. You're a pretty boy with some battle scars. All right.
Like,
You
you got a
still
backstory.
right, right. You know, damage. Ooh, that's how it's gonna be. So I was disappointed in that because he's wearing this mask like he's hideous, and even some of the shots before you see his face, you people going like, like, man, you've been to the wrong strip clubs if that bothers you. So,
And he still made panties drop.
right, right. So, so Jigsaw should have been a pretty boy, which it had that right. Jigsaw being a pretty boy is fine. But after his face gets messed up, that's part of his past. Now again, it could be that Doctor Doom thing, like I have this one mark. My face, my beautiful perfection is hideous. But he
Right,
doesn't
right.
remember
That's Doctor Doom. Yes,
it.
that is Doctor Doom.
And pretty people do be like, oh man, this one scar, I'm hideous now. So I get that. So I could have been, but you should have just full blown Frank messed up your face. He raked his face over a shattered glass mirror, and he just had a couple of what
Parts.
do you call it? Right, right. Come on, bro. Come on. Your nose even look broken. Your nose didn't even look broken.
All right, so Anthony asked a question
But
about
he did
Jigsaw's
have a
story.
great story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you want to take that, Kyle?
No, no, go ahead.
Chops. Anyway, yeah. So Jigsaw story was actually really, it flowed really well out of season one. If it was the only story that we were following, the main story we were following, where he is getting therapy, he doesn't have his memory. It's a very moral conflict. They talk about it briefly, and they don't really explore a lot after that. Is like, can you punish somebody who doesn't remember what they did? Because his mind gets reset all the way back to Frank, and the black guy Kyle thinks is going to die every scene. The guy with the one leg, the former medic. He thinks they're all still best friends. He don't understand why they hate them, and they're like, "Well, what do we do with this guy? Because he doesn't remember all the crap he did." And they explore some of this, like she got molested as a child, and they do all this other stuff. And he also starts recruiting disenfranchised vets, which I thought was a great thing to segue from the first season. And it's a really good. All right, this makes him dangerous. He has all of Frank's skills, and now he got an army of trained people. I was really into that story. If again you had time to flesh this story out, where this story was going to be the A story, and you can have a couple of side B stories, but you can't have two A stories. You can't have two A stories in the same season. It don't really. I mean, not like this, because it's so jarring when you go back and you're like, oh crap, this little girl that was the main part of this whole first 2 or 3 episodes. Oh, what has she been doing? Oh yeah, we forgot about you. We just stuck you in this closet for. Oh, okay. Let's go back to you. It didn't transition well at all. It's kind of like the DJ fucking up, right? When the DJ don't really transition the songs very well, it's like the DJ fucking up, and that's what it is. Either either I'm at a hip hop club, or I'm a dubstep, or I'm at a country club. And that's what it felt like. You put all these things in one thing, and you ain't warned nobody. So that's pretty much that. But he had a really interesting story set up, and he's a really good foil for Frank, especially can Frank punish a person that doesn't remember, right? Can you blame a person who doesn't remember what they did?
Yep.
Or has he suffered enough the fact that his memory and mind and face are so messed up, and that was his whole identity, right? There was a couple of good things in there, but they also included a psychiatrist, like a Harley Quinn type thing, where his psychiatrist fell in love with him and all this, and it did not play out well. Great actress. I'm not blaming the actress, but they just didn't have enough time to develop those stories.
Yeah, and one of the issues I had with the whole story with can you punish? What they should have did was they should have really focused on can you punish somebody who doesn't remember what they did, like Anthony stated. Because one of the main issues I had with that was you could really make a compelling thing over you don't know if you agree with Frank or not for trying to kill this guy. But he never took the time to establish it. They even went out the way to have a part where Frank thought that he killed these 3 innocent girls, 2 innocent girls. But I mean, later on that episode, they point out, oh no, he actually, Jigsaw killed the girls point blank. But
But
it's
it's
like
all
they could
got
have,
resolved in like an hour of storytelling. I think it was like the tail end of one and the beginning of the other, right?
right. And that's what I said. They could have really took time to make this like a real psychological show and really makes you figure out what lines do you draw. Because think about how many times as human beings we actually hold a vendetta with somebody, and that person who we might hold a vendetta with might not even think about us having a vendetta with, right? Like you could have really
Preach,
told that
preach
story
it.
in this atmosphere, and they did, and like they completely dropped the ball. Like they even acknowledged the ball and just dropped it. Like, hey, look, there's a pass coming. Hey, I have hands of Julian Edelman. Now I'm not going to catch it. You
Right.
know.
So again, what we're saying is there were two really good storylines here. There were
Yeah.
two really good storylines here that they just messed up by just like so. So when you have this Jigsaw character going around, who's a great foil for Frank, every once in a while they'll remind you about the Midwest stuff that been on where, and the context doesn't make any sense. So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, Midnight Guy. And instead of developing this bad guy, we had this really cool setup for him, and then like they disassembled like almost the next time you see him. So it's like there's no you ruined all the build up that you could have had with this character who was all supposed to be a different kind of foil for Frank, right?
Yeah.
So you have three foils for Frank, and I mean you have two foils for Frank running around, but you sacrifice one because you already know Billy from one season, right? Who Billy, which I like the storyline, wasn't the character I really wanted to see in the season get fleshed out. I wanted to know more about that Mennonite guy, see more of his scenes, but that was me.
Yeah, and then like the side story with Tahani, they messed that all up because they had her just going all the way off the rails. It's like, oh well, yeah, I'm a CIA, I'm a legacy CIA at that. I'm the top of my game. You went ahead to re-establish something that you already established last season to show
Mm-hmm.
I'm the top of my game, and then I really don't care about my badge at all. I'm going to do everything I can to possibly break the law and also get fired and get charged like doing almost everything possible to do this without no real explanation at all, none. And it was poorly written,
And
and
that happened a lot in this show. Where people just throwing away their careers, for, like in ways that didn't make sense.
the writing was right there where they could actually show, hey, this is the reason why. Like going back to the Mennonite story, if they would have really wrote that story out in 7A, because there's a part with the Mennonite story where they show it's a whole government conspiracy thing with the Mennonite, and this is where it gets dumb writing. So what winds up happening is the Russians have a son that's a senator who has no idea of the dirty backwoods politics that's going on. But they have these pictures of him kissing another man because he's a gay man
It was a
and
rich
he's
couple's
in
son.
office. Huh?
It was the rich couple's son.
Yeah, he's the rich couple's son. He's gay, and the religion's trying to keep it under wraps. Mind you, he doesn't care that he's gay, and he doesn't care who knows. So the rich couple and send the Mennonite to basically cover all this up. But the guy doesn't care. So like you're doing all this covering up, and he's still gonna come out gay anyway.
Killing all these people, using all these resources, all this stuff. You don't really explain too much about what they're like. It was just a mess. It was a jumbled mess,
Yeah,
and it's a shame because there was good story there to tell. There was
yeah.
really good story there to tell.
So you could have
So I
easily
have.
said, show
I'm sorry.
Tahani saying, "Hey, look, I'm over here busting my tail for this government, and you have this stuff that's getting covered up by the government, and the Russians are involved." And you could have easily told Tahani's going against the grain because of this, but you just because you're trying to hurry up and fill up some episodes, you don't even try to flesh out the stuff that you already established.
All right, so wow, that sounds like a lot of problems. But honestly, I have a couple questions, like for a main story. So I'm gonna talk about how we kind of what main story would have been better, because I think Anthony had said he didn't really care about Billy Russo's story.
Right.
He would have loved to see. I think his name is Pilgrim. I think that's what I keep seeing.
Was that his name?
Yeah, Pilgrim. Yeah, Pilgrim.
I just swear
Of
that was the
course.
Mennonite from the comics.
Could have
Oh
been.
wow.
And again, Billy's story would have been a good season 3. I'm not distracting what that storyline could have been. It should have been a season 3, right?
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if Kyle agrees with that, but it should have been a season 3. But at this point, how you set up the season, I wanted to know more what's going on with this Midwest thing because, as me and Kyle were talking about,
Right.
I don't know if you've driven through the Midwest Mo by yourself, but
Mhm.
that's a scary situation when
Scary.
you go to
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
towns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you can easily disappear. 'Cause
Right.
folks don't know
So I
you
guess
around.
you guys, I guess both of you have kind of answered the question, because again, like you said, Billy's story would have made a great season 3, but you have him in this season. Would it have been better to focus again and then like save the Pilgrim for season 3, or you just tell the Pilgrim story and have Billy be like a super B or like C story, where maybe Madani's story could have been like higher, or like how would you have fixed this season? According to Anthony, I'm thinking fuck Billy and save him for season 3. But Kyle, what do you think?
All right. So if we're talking hypothetical fixing the season, season part 2A, which would have been episodes 1 through 7, you tell the
Mhm.
whole story with this rich family the gay son, and this like whole cover up thing that they're doing
Mm-hmm.
to get control of public office with the Senate and cover up these pictures and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could segue that into the Billy story by like by episode 7 to 8. But in the process of doing that, you could really flesh out the relationship between Frank and this girl at the same time. Because at no point in time in this season did I ever feel any kind of chemistry between Frank and the girl. At no point in time. It just
But they spend a
magically.
lot of time together, right?
Episodes 1, 2, and 3, they spent some time together. Then randomly they would check in like, "Hey, are you there?" Like, did you ever used to watch Inspector Gadget back in the day? Remember, like sometimes you
Yes.
had to be remembered that Billy
Yeah.
was in the episode. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like that.
So
Wow.
and again, I was getting kind of a wolf and cub kind of feel, or like the gunman and his kid kind of sidekick, rifleman from that old black and white TV shows type of thing. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that's where we were going with it. And also, I got a little feel of the professional, right? When she was like, "Teach me how to
Yes.
shoot, teach me
That's
how
what I
to
was
shoot,
expecting.
teach me how to use this, teach me how to disarm people." And I was like, you know what? I think I'm good with this. Usually, adding a kid to something would piss me off, but you know what? If you're gonna bring the professional and give me a longer professional thing, I'm with you. I'm with you, Marvel. I see what you're doing. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, wait, what happened to the kid? Like, oh crap, we still in this episode? Oh, all right, we'll get back to you in 6 episodes.
I
So,
would have been
Wow.
happy if they would have killed her off. Like honestly, I know that sounds dark and everything, but at least then it would have had a payoff to what they were doing and why they were taking such poor time with this character development. Like they didn't even do that.
All right, so let's fix the season. You said it'd been better for you, Kyle. It'd have been better if they went season episodes 1 through 7. Just talk about this rich couple, their kid, and the setting of the government cover up, and then
Yeah,
the B
because hang on, there's a
story.
part I didn't mention. There's a part at the end of this season, like the very last couple shots of the season, where Frank's in Russia killing off the couple. Yeah, see, they just jumped straight to that. So I forgot to mention that part.
So wait, so hold on.
I can't make this up. I
So
cannot make this up.
he starts off in Michigan, right?
Right.
Then they go back to New York, and then they end with him in Russia.
Yeah, and then they do a real cool money shot from the comics where Frank kills a bunch of people in the warehouse. But let's skip all that. Like that money shot was cool. That money shot was perfect. I ain't gonna lie. But
but I
um,
will say this about some of the special effects. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go for it.
All right. So some of the special effects were great. Now again, when you get to the bloody fist fights and stunt coordinator is, you cannot fault them. He earns his money every time they are like every time there's violence on screen. There was one part which you don't see in a lot of movies where Frank got hit and spittle, like a little bit of spittle went out of his mouth, and I was like, damn,
Is that real?
did he really get hit? Did he do a
his
Fletcher?
lip quivered.
Right,
He
it was
probably
like,
did get hit for
right.
real.
I was like, that one thing there, that man earned his money for the whole season. Whoever directed that, or
Mhm.
and if he pulled it, because Heath Ledger took a real hit in The Dark Knight, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, did he pull a Heath Ledger? Like that was impressive. Now there were some other times when it looks like they didn't have a bullet special effect that was kind of iffy. There were some bullet shots that were kind of some flashes from the muzzles that was kind of like you spend all your budget.
Yeah, it was those Walking Dead gunshots.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I guess we've talked about fixing this season.
Oh,
Now let's just say,
no. So
oh,
fixing the
oh,
season,
there's
though.
more,
Yeah, so like, we were talking
or
about
there's
this the
no
other
fixing
day.
the season.
No, if you wanted to tell, like, if they came to you and said, "Look, we don't think we're going to get another season. Marvel and Netflix having a pissing contest. I mean, Disney and Netflix having a pissing contest. But we had these two stories, and we want to wrap up the Billy storyline too, right?
Hmm.
There's some things you could have trimmed. I'd have done. I think Kyle was saying he would have done like 1 through 7 of the Midwest conflict, and
Mhm.
then went over to New York. Billy escaped. He's starting this militia, and you could have told that story in that last half. You just had to cut out the psychiatrist Harley Quinn thing. You had to cut out some of this other stuff that just. If you don't have time to explore if you don't have time to explore the moral conundrum, don't
Mhm.
add it in because it's just you're not getting a payoff. There's no payoff to that. So you could have done that. And the to me, so I would have done where 1 through 6 or 7, you do the Midwest. You got the Punisher outside of New York. There's a whole different feel. You got this whole family introduced that we never went back to that the Punisher kind of bonds with. Um, and then if you want to do the if you want that girl to be a consistent link throughout both of the halves of the season, do the professional thing where Frank's like, you need to know how to protect yourself because this rich family's never going to stop hunting you, and they got the resources. So you got to stick with me, and I'm going to teach you how to survive. Have him teaching her through through the season. Even do like a time skip thing of like 3 or 4 months or maybe a year or something like that. Go back to New York because you know Billy's escaped. He matter of fact, Punisher doesn't even know that when Billy escapes. They can't find him, but he learns on the news or some stuff that Billy's escaped a year ago and has built up this militia. Goes back, and then you play off the Billy situation. You have her trained, but she hasn't seen how violent it gets. She hasn't seen Billy and Punisher go at it. And it's like, this is what this is. Do you want part of this life, kind of thing like that? Like something like that would have been a more satisfying story arc to me. I don't know what you think about this, Kyle. We haven't really discussed this.
So you could have done
I actually
both,
think
is
that
what
would
you're
have been perfect.
saying.
Did you say, Mo?
So what you're saying, Anthony, is you could have done both storylines, but if you flesh it out and let each storyline breathe and not just try to dump everything on everything, is what you're
And
saying.
cut out some of the stuff you don't have time to explore.
It's funny though. You think with 13 episodes they'd be able to do all of that and still explore?
If you can't tell a complete story in 4 hours, something's wrong.
I feel like you've said that
honestly
before.
don't think that they realized they had 13 episodes. You can't tell me that they did. Like, it's some things that just don't add up. Like, how do you have 13 episodes and you waste so much time on like stupid stuff, but then you rush job. Oh, Frank's now in Russia and killing off a rich family.
and 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 again, um, the Punisher was one of the few sophomore years of these shows that had more than enough story to tell for 13 episodes. They had more story than they could tell in 13 episodes. They just didn't know how to structure it right. And so I'm guessing the story runner or the editor or whoever did not structure this stuff right, because there were two great stories to be had here, and you could have made the B plot the girl or the family that Frank bonded with, and then have the girl live with that family or something. I don't know. You could do a bunch of stuff with some of the side characters you created, but like I said, I don't know who the editor was or the story runners or whoever. They just didn't know. Maybe they panicked. Maybe they worked. Maybe they only had a short amount of time to make the best season they could before they knew they weren't getting any more funding or anything. I don't know what this. I'm really interested in what the behind the scenes of this is, but it has to be very curious about Jessica Jones, because we had what was the assistant from Daredevil, the one that she's a reporter
Karen
to.
Page.
Karen Page. She shows up in this, of course, because her and Frank have a bond or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But she even jeopardizes her freedom for like in stupid ways. Like, bitch, there's cameras all around. What are y'all doing?
But wait, let me before as you mentioned that, just remember they also withheld evidence that would have cleared Frank at the same time.
Right. It was just really weird. It was a really weird thing to do, and you didn't have enough time to build this up. But again, Punisher himself, he worked with the script. All the actors, even if I didn't like them in this season, did the best they could with what they had. I don't think it was on them.
Okay, great. So now let's play What If, right? So let's just say Marvel and Netflix, or Disney and Netflix, fix whatever beef they got going, and Netflix decides, hey, you know what, fuck it, we'll drop another Punisher season. One, will you be excited to see another Punisher season, especially after this? And how do you think, especially after everything that goes on right now, how do you think they fix their problem moving forward and bring your trust? Because I don't know if you lost trust in them, but how do they regain your trust, or how do they regain your viewership?
I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
So I love this guy as the Punisher, right? From what I understand, if things doesn't work out, Marvel can't make another show for like 2 years. This guy doesn't have a big supporting cast like the other characters do. Just bring him back. I would watch him be Punisher. I would watch him be Punisher in a movie, actually. Like, I'd roll him into the MCU if you wanted to. Like, I'm all for this guy. Um, like I said, they haven't lost my trust because I think that at least the Punisher people, they have good stuff here. They tried to give you quality stuff. The pass I give them is if what it feels like is what actually happened. That you only had enough time to do because we've seen great shows. Like you go to Angel, they're like, "Oh, you're getting canceled. All right, we got 8 shows to wrap up this whole story arc of this 7-year story arc, or your Babylon 5, or any of those things. You do the best you got. You do with the best of what you have, right? And and so I haven't lost faith in the Punisher people, but I don't know if you get this whole behind the scene crew back together again. If you can do that, I'm with you. I'll wait 2 years, Marvel. Bring it on. I think it's how long has it been since Punisher showed up in Daredevil? At least 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been about
No,
three
no, no,
years.
no, because he showed up in Daredevil. Then we
See,
had Defenders.
He wasn't in Defenders,
No, no, no. I said
so I
he
think it
showed
was
up
a
in
year
Daredevil. Then we
between.
had um, Iron Fist, then Defenders, and Iron. No, then he came. Yeah, 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 yeah. So about 3 years.
I'd wait 2 years to see this Punisher again.
yeah,
Okay.
He won't be too old. He can bring it back into it. I'd be there.
yeah. Like John Bernthal is a great actor, like great actor. But he's done a phenomenal job. Honestly, I feel like the writers, I, I'm gonna err, give them the error on the side of business got into the way of this season because the writing was there. There was some stupid nitpicky stuff. Like I said, this whole situation with the government, the cover up and all that, I think it's just stupid because the son is gay and he doesn't care who knows that he's gay. Why are you trying to cover up this kiss that he had? I just think that's stupid. That's just the dumbest thing ever. But like I said, that's
He told
nitpicky
his mom
stuff.
and daddy don't care.
Right. Yeah. So I just say it's nitpicky stuff that I have an issue with. But the writing is still good with the show. It's just that some stuff just don't make sense. But I'm going to err on the side of business got in the way of the show. So like it still has my trust, and Punisher's like the oddball character on this Netflix Marvel thing. His character is the only one that just doesn't seem like it's in this universe in a way. Like other than his relationship with Karen Page, which kind of seems forced, and his interaction with Daredevil in season 2, like he's the only one that kind of feels like forced into this universe. Everybody else kind of feels like they fit in, but just at a different time frame than what we're actually watching the movies in. Um, so it's like I feel like once everything's under the House of Mouse, things are kind of like move a little bit better in a way. Um, so like I mean, they still got my trust. It's just the writing just was forced to me.
So again, you guys are all in for Punisher season 3, which according to Anthony, I don't care when. They haven't lost your trust. You just need if they do, and if and when they do come back, they come back stronger and better, and the same cast, the same crew, all everyone just comes back, and you're good to go again with Punisher. So I
Yep,
mean, I
yep,
feel
yep,
like
yep.
I don't know if there's anything else we need to cover, and we could talk about the rest of the other defenders and figure out, now with Jessica Jones on the horizon, I think that comes out either later this year, summer, or maybe next year. With Jessica Jones 3 coming, like, I mean, we should know something in the next couple of weeks if Punisher is going to be X'd or canceled. I mean, but I'm kind of expecting that to happen. But with Jessica Jones, like, are you expecting anything from Jessica Jones? Do you care? Is it something that, oh well, I know it's gonna be canceled either way, and I'm not really interested, or like, yo, I'm excited to see what they got for Jessica Jones coming up. I mean, they kind of faltered last season. Let's see if they can come back like Daredevil did.
Um, I like I said, I'm a big fan of Jessica Jones. I don't think the writers know what to do with somebody who. So not that you get healthy all at once, but I don't. I think the writers went to therapy for like 6 months and didn't continue their therapy at some point. And I don't know if they know how to write her as somebody that's regaining their functioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of Pikachu her. It seems like they're gonna Pikachu her, right? So like, oh, like so in Pokemon, like you're like, why does Pikachu never evolve? Like, why is he still stuck in the same place 16 years later? Right? So the first season you got her, you got a supporting cast, the black guy or whatever. In season 1, they're like, we don't know what to do with this black guy. He was always a drug addict. Wait, right? Like he was, you know. I don't know if they have any more story to tell. I don't care about her and Trish fighting. I don't even understand that. But Trish has addiction issues too. We get it. Trauma and addiction. We you know, can we move forward? No, we're not. All right. Okay. Oh, we're gonna bring the Purple Man back. He's gonna be in her head for a lot. Oh, you're not doing that either. Oh, okay. All right. Are we gonna get a Luke Cage, Jessica Jones type of thing going on in season 3? Because as far as I know, that's her primary storyline. It right. So I mean, I like the character. I'm all for people getting work.
I see you straining, like you're actually straining to find something nice to say. Like it's so funny.
I don't trust Jessica Jones writers to have enough story for 13 episodes in a season 3. And I hope I'm wrong.
I think you're right. It's like they don't know. It's like they don't know the source material. Like, mind you, I wasn't a real big Alias Comics fan. Like, I'll be the first to say, I really wasn't. I wasn't a huge Jessica Jones comic book fan. I kind of got into Jessica Jones' character by way of Luke Cage when they had their daughter. After the whole Purple Man storyline and all that good stuff.
Ending of season 2 is Jessica Jones being pregnant,
right?
And her being like trying to be a functioning mom or something. That would have been a really interesting story. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but that's the point I'm going. Like, the only way I can see them doing this, and I know they're not, so I'm just going to completely say this. This is impossible for them to do this. But with where Luke Cage is at right now, in Harlem's Paradise, for Jessica Jones to come in, some kind of way, get Luke on track or whatever have you. They have a fling. Jessica finds out she's pregnant, and Luke, being an admirable person, tries to work things out with her. You know what I mean? And they realize they're best suited for each other. That's the only way that I can see this actually working. And you kind of like put a bow tie on the whole Netflix universe by way of what works all the time in the comics to end something, a marriage. You know, that completely goes wrong.
True.
But that is the truth. That is how everything always ends. At the end of the day, it's like, oh wow, these two superheroes got married, and it's cute. You know, it's like wedding of the century type thing.
Except for that Storm and Black Panther thing, I was so against that.
Storm? Oh my God, please don't do that.
What?
I'm against that Storm Black Panther marriage thing. That seemed racist to me.
But hey, have you been reading the Gambit Road comic?
No.
It's kind of cool.
Good?
I've been reading. I'm on episode issue 7 or issue 8 right now. It's pretty cool. Like, they just had a whole situation with Professor X's daughter, Alexandra. Like, it's cool so far. Yeah.
A situation cool. With X's daughter?
They had a threesome with Xavier's daughter?
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo.
So they were on their honeymoon, right?
Every time I see you
on a mission. So Professor X, I forget the lady's name, but she's the mutant that lives in space. She's with the this is the whole situation up there. But Professor
with the green hair?
Yeah. Professor X had a daughter with her. So they had a whole situation where they had to protect her from this other group of mutants, space mutants or whatever. And the whole thing got resolved, but now Rogue's powers have now changed to now she can absorb your power without touching.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with Rogue, man. Look.
Yeah.
Look.
It's cool. Like, I actually like that.
I feel like they're trying to force that Rogue and Gambit thing so hard.
Remember the thing where Rogue could access every power she touched at one point, and it was like, oh, come on, guys. I get comics is one of those things where you just gotta throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But I just want my Rogue back from the '90s X-Men cartoon, or Age of Apocalypse Rogue. I want some Age of Apocalypse Rogue back. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I need Miss Marvel to flop, then to bring the X-Men, and then Rogue take her powers. That's the only reason I'm excited about Miss Marvel. I need the Rogue to take her powers. And have a southern accent.
Anyway, let's come back to Marvel Netflix.
Wait, hold on. That actually kind of works out, that idea, because if Miss Marvel is taking place in the 90s, and it's 2018 now. I'm not sure what year it is now. The movies though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that actually could work out age wise.
It could
Do
though.
it. They're not gonna do it,
Rogue will
but
be a teenager at this point.
Yeah.
like, Mama, I want to
Or
let
early
go.
early
No, you
20s.
hold on, Rogue. You hold on, Rogue. You take that woman's powers.
Right. Yeah, just keep being Anna Paquin for a second. So yeah, thank you guys. Let's come back to Marvel Netflix for a second. Thank you guys for for doing this podcast, and I feel like this is one of our more mature, level-headed podcasts. Again, with Anthony, you don't know what to expect. He was really cool on this one. I think it's you, Kyle. I really think it's you. You kind of came in, and Anthony kind of had to behave himself a little bit. But no, for real. Thank you guys for coming and doing this one. This one is a little different, like I said, because again, this is something I didn't watch. Like I think when Anthony and I did Iron Fist, we did Daredevil. And those, because we watched those and we were able to, it's like I was able to offer more insight. But I guess I'm coming from the point of someone who hasn't watched and someone who wants to watch. I will say this though: when you guys were talking about episodes 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2, I was like, you know what? What am I doing? I should probably watch this. And then you guys mentioned a couple things, and I was like, I should definitely watch. Just to grab my own understanding of this. I mean, I did watch season 1 to grab my own understanding and nuances of this. There are some very interesting things you guys were talking about. But in all, is you guys, again, I'm not saying you guys didn't discourage me. I'm saying if there was any people who were like me who had a problem going into this season, you didn't convince us like a lot. Like, yo, we have to watch this season. Was more so, I mean, you should watch the season if you like John Barenthal, if you like The Punisher, if you like Marvel Netflix. I should watch it. Not if I had a problem or if I needed any convincing. I don't think I caught any from you guys. But
it's not Daredevil season 3. It's not Daredevil
yes,
season 3.
It's not.
You be like,
it's
no,
not.
It's very not.
You gotta see this.
Yeah.
I
mean, I do appreciate you guys coming on. Again, I do appreciate you guys coming on to do this. It is Sunday. Some people are watching sports ball. The Pro Bowl is going on right now, so I guess some people are kind of watching that, and everybody's doing what they do on Sundays. But Kyle, it was a pleasure having you on here.
Thanks for having me.
It was definitely a pleasure having you on here. You're very knowledgeable with the comics. This year, though, I haven't told Anthony yet. We're gonna try to start back doing a comic book show like every Wednesday. So if you are free, if you are free, if you want to join in, go ahead and join in. Last year we did something really cool where we had comic book creators of color, and we kind of interviewed them and for what they were doing. We did that all Black History Month, and that was kind of cool. I'm trying to see if we can get something going like that again. But no, seriously, thanks again for coming, Kyle. Anthony, thank you for always being here. Kyle, if there's any other shows you want to talk about that we all watch, be my guest. Young Justice.
Oh, Kyle plugging into everything. He watches everything. Sometimes I mean, stuff. You check this out yet? What you doing with your life?
Yeah,
Young Justice, Deadly Class, because I think I want to do Deadly Class at some point. Young Justice, definitely. Anthony, we do Star Trek Discovery. So if there's anything you want to plug yourself into, just go ahead and let me know. We'll invite you on. It's not going to be a problem.
Hey, do y'all watch Orville?
Yes, we do watch the Orville.
Yeah.
I do watch the Orville. I don't know about Anthony. I watch the Orville every week. It's kind of interesting. It reminds me of Enterprise.
Yeah.
Not you too, Kyle. I talk to you so much. Kyle. Why are you triggering me? I was calling thing and you triggering me with Enterprise. Sons of bitches.
See what I'm talking about? I told you, if you were hey Kyle, you should come on the Star Trek Discovery podcast.
I need it's technical difficulty sign to come up when I press mute.
Yeah, you should come on. You should try to come on Discovery ones. It's always interesting on those ones. I mean, me, Patrick, we're looking for another person who wants to enjoy the podcast with us. But yeah, anytime, man, anything you want to talk about, anytime you want to talk about something, just let us know, and we'll have you. I would definitely want to have you on. Again, Anthony, thank you for coming. I know you're always busy doing stuff, but thank you for making time.
Hey, look, I'm on the clock right now.
Thank you for making time for Earth 2.
I'm doing stuff
and
I'm doing things right now. Jeez.
Hopefully we'll be back. The same crew will be back for Jessica Jones season 3, probably with Lucas this time because he watches Jessica Jones, and so we'll be back for that. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this, if you're going to be watching this, This is going to be on Spotify, iTunes eventually, because we're trying to work things out technically with iTunes. But we're definitely on Spotify, Google Play Music, and every other way place you catch your podcast at. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Yeah.